On page 25 in your practice book, Estimating Irrational Numbers, it says study the example problem showing how to estimate the value of an irrational number and then solve problems 1 through 8. This is what we was doing on a number line. You find the two perfect squares on either side of it, and then you kind of estimate to see where the number falls in between those. Now the book wants us rounding to the hundredths, which is what they're showing you in this example problem. I told you I'm okay with going to the tenths place. Number 1 says, mark a point at the approximate location of the square root of 6 to the hundredths place. Now, if you read the example, you saw that the square root of 6 is between 2.44 and 2.45, but it is closer to 2.45. So on our number line, we would put it here at 2.45. On number 2, it says check your answer by finding the square root of 6 using a calculator. What is the result on your screen? Now, these are just my little cheap calculators, just a basic calculator. Notice the square root key. I'm going to type in 6, and then I'm going to tell it I want to know the square root, and it's going to give me the answer 2.449. So the result on the screen is 2.449. Yes. So with the calculator, we're at 2.449, and that would round to 2.45. Number 3 says find the square root of 10 to the nearest hundredth and explain how you found your answer. I do not require you to go to the hundredths. If you know that the square root of 9 is 3 and the square root of 16 is 4, we're going to be between 3 and 4. Square root of 10 is just enough above the square root of 9 to not be perfect. So I would put it at about 3.1, and that's as far as I need you to go. So when it wants a more precise answer, I'm just going to grab my calculator, and the square root of 10 says 3.16. And I got it with my calculator. Okay, get it to the nearest tenth, and then if it insists on having the hundredths place, I'm okay with you grabbing a calculator for that. Number 4 says explain how a rational number and an irrational number are different. As this is not a mathematical calculation. They just want you to tell the difference between the two. An irrational is non-terminating and non-repeating. Rational numbers terminate or repeat. One of them repeats or terminates and the other one does not. That is the difference. Number 5, describe how you would compare 3.6 and the square root of 12. Now, did they ask us to compare these two numbers? No. They asked us how to compare the numbers. So again, no mathematical calculations. How would I do it? I would convert the square root of 12 to a decimal. And that would be your answer for number 5. Number 6, is 1.75 a reasonable estimate of the value of the square root of 8? And explain your reasoning. So they want to know if 1.75 is a good estimate. The square root of 8 falls between the square root of 4, which is 2, and the square root of 9, which is 3. I would put it about here at 2 point something. So is 1.75 a good estimate? It is not, because it is not 1.75. It is 2 point something, probably 2.75. Number 7, on a number line, will the square root of 20 be closer to 4.4 or 4.5? And explain your reasoning. If you're looking at a number line, you're going to have the square root of 16, which is 4, and the square root of 25, which is 5. Halfway between there would be the square root of 20.5. And then 4.4, that would be at 4.5. 4.4 would be just below that. You would just be guessing because that is a very narrow margin. I would just take my calculator. The square root of 20 is 4.47. You would round based on the 7, which would tell you to round up. So we would be closer to 4.5. The last question here, number 8. Look at the 2 points on the number line. Each number graphed is the square root of a whole number that is not a perfect square. Write the appropriate square root in each box and explain how you found your answers. Now, we are approximating, okay? We're just getting as close as we can. We are just approximating this. That means we're just going to get as close as we can. They've given us 2. 2 squared is 4, so the square root of 4 goes above it. The square root of 9 goes above the 3, and the square root of 16 goes above the 4. Now, this box is going to be between the square root of 4 and the square root of 9. It is really close to the square root of 9. I'm going to go with square root of 8. Now, am I sure that that's perfect? No, I'm not. But when it says approximate, it means get very close. Okay, I am close enough. Now, this box over here is above 4. And let's see, we would have the square root of 25 up here. But we're a little less than halfway between, so I'm going to go with the square root of 19. Okay, we've already talked about 4 and 5, and the halfway between was 20.5. So I'm going to go with square root of 19. And how did I find my answers? I just approximated what was the most reasonable explanation.